It's about 10 till 6 p.m. Eastern on June the 14th of 2025. It's a Saturday, and I'm Jay Essen, and we are returning to Little Match Girl 5, The Hunter's Vow. Should be a pleasant distraction from everything going on lately. Let's play it now, and let's restore. And I probably should have labeled this better to determine which one is more recent. Let's see here. I wonder if we can verify. That's Woods. Okay, here we go. Restore. We are calibrating our save again. Okay. All right, save game calibrated. Let's look. We're back at the palace. We just rescued Ebenezabeth from the Turtle Queen. So we've given her invitation. We only have one last invitation. Last invitation. A single invitation remains to be delivered, but the others weren't too hard, so how difficult could this one be? Oh, it could be pretty difficult. Open Rusty, revealing a manuscript. I forgot about this. Let's examine that manuscript once more. The Little Match Girl in the Tower of Sand. That's right. This was something that we got from the Queen Regent, I think, is the one that we still have to recruit and provide the invitation to. So let's see. We got our bag of nuts, wooden case, skeleton key, excavation droid, spiral notebook, kaleidoscope. Okay, let us. We can't wake up. Let's look. Let's go southeast to the construction site, northeast to the culvert, east to the wreck. Let's enter Corolla. Back to the nursery. Close east door. Oh. We're in the nursery, so closed door is sufficient. Go west. Oh, nope. Go east, back to the dining hall. South, up, north. No, west. Open west door. Yeah, here we go. Let's go west. So we are back to the undersea kingdom of Atlantis, to the street. A quiet evening on the Royal Esplanade. Most merfolk are at home by this time of night, and the road is empty except for you and Freeman, but the confectioner here is still open. We came from the warehouse to the east. The confectioner would be a useful solution if we still needed to recruit Lobo. We have already dealt with that, so let's go west to the palatial gates. The Great Palace of Atlantis is just a few steps to the north. The Royal Esplanade stretches east and west. Let's go west again to the plaza. The Esplanade widens into a sort of oval here, ringed by 12 marble statues. This would be a perfect place to stage an open water music festival or a duel, but there's nobody here. West once more to the overlook. At the western end of the Esplanade, a balcony provides a stunning view of the ocean floor. Of all the shops and attractions in the neighborhood, only one studio is open this late. So this would be a place to get another statue if we needed to deal with the beavers, but we have dealt with the beavers. So let's go east east, and then north into the palace. Here's the gallery. At the center of the palace is a cathedraline statuary hall lined with busts of dignitaries. The main aisle of the gallery runs north and south. A narrow corridor runs west, and through another side passage is the bottom of a spiral staircase. This is something I missed before. I forgot about this narrower corridor. Let's go west to the office. A huge oak desk takes up most of the office, which wasn't a very big room to begin with. A large clock-like object hangs on the far wall. Dexagoras sits behind the desk regarding his paperwork with dismay. Excuse me, just a moment. Pardon me. Okay, let us examine Dexagoras. The merman's expression indicates that he is in no mood for the antics of interloping landwalkers. The combination of glasses and shirtlessness is very striking. I try talking to him. Dexagoras takes you in over the frames of his spectacles. Some associate of Her Majesty's, I infer? Exactly, you say. I have an urgent invitation to deliver to her, but she seems very busy at the moment. Your landwalker fairy tales may have given you the erroneous impression that life in a royal palace consists only of idle intrigues, extravagant parties, and romantic entanglements, says the chamberlain. In actual fact, we are all of us very busy with vital official business all day, every day, sometimes late into the evening, as I am at this moment. Then we'll get out of your hair, says Freeman. Let's examine the clock. It's an astronomical clock indicating the passage of the sidereal month and positions of the planets, but it's not ticking. Is there a problem with the clock? Let's examine his paperwork. The desk is beautiful, but it clearly has been through a lot. Most antiques in Atlantis are dragged out of shipwrecks. The paperwork on the desk is neatly stacked and color-coded. There are binders with little tabs. Underneath it all is a paper desk blotter, and it is spotless. Okay. Let's talk to him once more. He claims to be very busy, although at the moment all he seems to be doing is looking at his stacks of paperwork. Do I have anything that can address the situation currently? I don't imagine he'll have any interest in the kaleidoscope. Show kaleidoscope to Dexagoras. No, absolutely not, Dexagoras says. I have no desire to become entangled in the puerile diversions of exchange of which you and the Queen Regent are so innately fond. Whatever it is, I am not interested. Good day, sir. You quietly put the kaleidoscope away. So he's not going to be satisfied by showing or providing him with something. The paperwork is neatly stacked and color-coded. There are binders with little tabs. That's not for me to carry around. Okay, so I feel like there are things we need to potentially address in here, but it's not obvious how yet. How do you suppose I should go about picking between Irene and Eunoia? Go snoop on them, Ebenezabeth says flatly. I can't get close to either of them lately, but I'll have to let you in, to be polite. Okay. So we've got to snoop on the sisters. So if we go northwest to Eunoia... What if we show the kaleidoscope to her? You hold up the kaleidoscope. What in the world is that? Asks Eunoia. They call it a kaleidoscope. You put your eye up to this end, you explain, handing it over. What could there be to look at inside a little tube like that, she wonders. Then she sees. She gasps in amazement. So on the table, the diagrams are horoscopes. All of them look vague or unfinished. You can infer that they're based on incomplete information. On the sun table is a purple journal. So many colors, Eunoia wisps. A descent into chaos. She shakes her head in disbelief. She turns the kaleidoscope slightly and giggles at the new masterpiece she's created. Okay, reading Eunoia's journal. You read the first entry. Father intends to abdicate. The reason is quite clear to me. He is old. He has always been old, and will go on being old forever, without aging. But Atlantis is changing. It is growing younger. I suspect that Father had envisioned Atlantis as an immortal, immutable institution, like himself. The hazy, yearless current of time down here must have been part of his design. Whenever Ebenezabeth visits, no matter how long she has been gone, she and Irene and I are the same age. We change, unlike Father, and Atlantis changes against his will. Where will he go? Who will replace him? The issue is sure to cast a pall over the ball tomorrow night, but Peripheries will be there? There's more on the next page. Eunoia whimpers softly. Let's read next. Turn page. You go on reading. It seems like whenever I go to sleep wearing the tail, I have flying dreams. I was flying over the mountains, fluttering the mermaid tail like I was swimming. I flew over the castle. Oh, this is Ebenezabeth's spiral notebook. I should have turn purple page. You go on reading. I found Peripheries at the ball as planned. I snuck up behind him and whispered in his ear. The rest of this entry cannot be reproduced in a game that's supposed to be rated T for teen. There's more on the next page. Eunoia whimpers softly. Turn purple page. You go on reading. Ebenezabeth has returned at Father's request. She will serve as Queen Regent and choose one of her sisters to take the throne. Irene is mystified, but I understand it well enough. He trusts Ebenezabeth more than he trusts himself. He would have made her Queen Regnant if the Constitution allowed it. He couldn't choose Irene. I would resent her. He couldn't choose me for fear that Irene would resent me. He knows how petty his daughters are. No, he remembers how petty we used to be. I would have supported Irene if he chose her. And if he had chosen me, Irene would... I'm not really sure. Father left soon after Ebenezabeth arrived. There's more on the next page. Eunoia heaves a desperate sigh. Let's turn the purple page. You go on reading. Peripheries paid an unexpected visit to the palace tonight. The description of this encounter goes on for a page and a half. You scan the text for any details that might be relevant. At the very end... But not as quiet as we thought, if I interpret Irene's dirty looks over breakfast correctly. She's jealous. She misses Neas. I have my answer. If she's so upset over something like that, how much worse would it be if I were queen? She would shatter into pieces. I won't do that to her. There is more on the next page. Eunoia whimpers softly. So it sounds like we may need to make Irene Queen Regnant. You go on reading. I am so bored. That is the last entry. Eunoia shakes her head in disbelief. Princess Eunoia is preoccupied at the moment. She turns the kaleidoscope slightly and giggles at the new masterpiece she's created. That seems to belong to Princess Eunoia. Okay. Well, in that case, let's go back southeast and talk to the Queen Regent. How's the snooping going? Asks Ebenezabeth. It's going, you say. I have something like 50% of the information I need, I think. What do we have to distract Irene? Here's Princess Irene. Let's show manuscript to Irene. Irene reads the passage with uncharacteristic interest. Where is the rest of it? She asks. I would like to know what led up to all this. Fair. Show spiral notebook to Irene. That would be a violation of privacy. Well, I'd like to try that once more. So I'm going to be a little cheeky. I know this doesn't solve the problem, but I just want to go ahead and try it. Let's go southeast, northeast, east, in, closed door, east, south, up, west, oh, open, west door, west, 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 north, no, west, too far, back to the palace gates, north, 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 east, show kaleidoscope to Irene. You hold up the kaleidoscope. Have you ever seen one of these? I've read about them, but never seen one in person. May I see? You hand over the tube, and Irene holds it up to her eye. She gasps in amazement. Examine the table. On the marble table is a green journal. Such regularity, Irene whispers. Beauty out of chaos. Open green journal. You open the green journal. Read it. Dear Diary, I have found out that I despise the idea of small talk. I used to be so adept at talking about nothing. I loved the sound of conversation for its own sake, and I loved especially the sound of my own voice. But lately I see how empty it all is. At the close of a conversation, I have learned nothing. I have imparted no information. My interlocutor and I have succeeded only in relieving the pressure valves of our individual inanities. When I return to my chamber, when I am alone, I realize what virtues silence possesses. I did not know my own thoughts before. I had no time to think. Oop, wrong button. Now I am thinking. I am pulling the idea apart. I am seeing what is inside. There is more on the next page. Irene turns the kaleidoscope slightly and giggles at the new masterpiece she's created. Okay, we go on reading. Diary, I am beginning to crave silence. The sound of conversation makes my neck twinge. When I hear someone swimming around the corner of a palace corridor, I turn around to avoid them. I shut myself in my chamber, and I listen to nothing. Father plans to abdicate. In the time it takes to think a single thought, I can imagine every possible reason he has for doing so. Now I can evaluate each possibility. No, 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 no. None of them make sense. I have not solved the mystery, but I have reached my conclusion in a matter of moments. I could have discussed the situation with Lydia for half an hour and had the same result. There must be an answer, but I will not get it from conversation. I will go on thinking. There is more on the next page. Irene whimpers softly. Turn green page. Diary, after considering my mystery for... No. I have tricked myself. I forswore idle conversation, but I replaced it with idle journaling. I still am pleasuring myself with the sound of my own voice, only now it is the voice in my head, the scratching of my pen in my diary. Perhaps it is not small talk that I despise, but people. This palace is full of people, and I dread to speak with any of them, even to share a room in silence. All I want is to be alone. This is why I have been dreading the prospect of succeeding Father to the coral throne. The crown of the Queen of Atlantis would be an awful burden. All that talking, all that planning and diplomacy, all those people, but Eunoia cannot be convinced. I should not write in this diary any longer. It is as bad as small talk. There is more on the next page. Irene heaves a desperate sigh. We turn the green page. You go on reading. Dear Diary, I need to connect with another person. But who can I talk to? With whom have I even ever had a meaningful conversation? Ebenezabeth. But she is unreliable. And anyway, her loyalties are divided. Untrustworthy. Naeus. Oh, sweet, gorgeous Naeus. Why did I turn her away? She was the wisest mermaid I ever knew. She was as brilliant as a diamond, and in her arms I felt myself illuminated by her radiance. If Naeus were here, she could tell me why father abdicated. She could convince Eunoia to take his place. She would understand everything and help me to understand, and I wouldn't be tortured by confusion. But she won't come back. There's more on the next page. Irene turns the kaleidoscope slightly and giggles at the new masterpiece she's created. Turn the green page. You go on reading. Dear Diary, I am building a detailed model of the palace. If I put all my energy into this undertaking, it will be clear to Ebenezabeth that I have no time to spare for rulership, and she will be forced to choose Eunoia as father's successor. I am still a little bit clever. That is the last entry. Irene shakes her head in disbelief. You take the green journal. Irene heaves a desperate sigh. So it occurred to me while we were doing this, maybe I just need to show one journal to the other sister. And that is the solution that was evading me. Let's go back to the southwest and to the northwest. Show green journal to Eunoia. You want to keep track of the green journal. Oh, so much for that idea. It was a good thought, but unfortunately not. What instead? Show invitation to Eunoia. Princess Eunoia is not one of the people to whom you need to give an invitation. Show crisp paper to Eunoia. I don't even remember what the crisp paper is, so that's not likely to be it. Open Rusty. It's got the manuscript. Show manuscript to Eunoia. Eunoia reads the passage with great enthusiasm. Where is the rest of it? She asked. I must know what happens next. Okay. Let's see. Well, let's see. Let's go southeast and south and west. Let's talk to Dexagorus because we missed out on this playthrough. And yeah, he's claiming to be very busy. Examine the clock, but it's not ticking. Examine paperwork. Okay, so now we've basically done everything that we had missed out on. Okay, let's go back to the south and to the east and to the east to the hallway. Let's go back to the west, close east door, lock it, open it, and east into Emikusi, to the locker room. And if we go north from here, here is the gym. East is the lounge. Okay, here's something I missed as well. Captain Lily reclines in a pink suede couch, reading from a leather journal. Monochrome video of a Latin jazz band is playing on the big screen. One archway leads outside, the other leads to the west. Leather. The notebook is black oilskin. A little strap hangs off the spine. Right. She's reading her old journal. Oop. Talk to Lily. No questions for Lily. Let us examine VR pad. This pale disc is designed to be worn on one's neck. It transmits a detailed simulation into the user's brainstem. Let's try it. We take the VR pad. You press the pad against your neck, and biomagnets lock it into place. You hold tight as Lost Feather gallops through the dark trees. Behind you, you can hear the bandits' jeers. They are gaining on you. Faster, Lost Feather, faster, you whisper in your steed's ear. A diamond-tipped arrow grazes your cheek. You pull the pad off your neck. You don't have time for this. But this seems adequately distracting. So let's look back to out, south to the crater. Let's go west to the bottom of the stone stairway and in to the locker room. Let's go back west. Close east door. Unlock it as a courtesy, which is entirely unnecessary, but let's go west now. To the Undersea Kingdom of Atlantis again. West to the Palace Gates. North, and northwest. Let's show VR pad to Eunoia. Have you seen one of these? You show the disc to the princess. Oh, yes, yes. May I try it, please? Of course, you say, and you hand it over. Eunoia presses the pad against her neck. Immediately, her eyes glaze over. Now, let's take purple. You take the purple journal. Ah, Eunoia's hand twitches. Open it. Read it. Eunoia whispers, faster, Lost Feather, faster. Eunoia raises a hand to her cheek, gasping weakly. Turn purple page. You go on reading. And turn purple page. Turn purple page. Turn purple page. Okay, well, now we have read both journals. Let's talk to Ebenezer. Well, asks Ebenezer. Well, you say, and you explain the situation. Of course, she groans. Same old story. Okay, round everyone up. Oh, excuse me, just a moment. Soon, the princesses and Dexagoras are assembled in the throne room. Before anyone can ask what's going on, Ebenezer announces, I pick Eunoia. Eunoia gasps. Irene slumps over in a sigh of relief. That's not how these things are done, Dexagoras complains. We expect some sort of formal declaration. Quite right, says Ebenezer. I hereby declare with all due formality that I pick Eunoia. She can assume the throne immediately, forthwith. Hardly! Dexagoras begins swimming in agitated circles. Irene and Eunoia are embracing, laughing and weeping and stroking each other's hair. A bevy of arrangements stand between your belated decision and the coronation ceremony. Paperwork, invitations, menus. You will remain our queen for some time, your majesty, and you, your highness... Dexagoras pulls Eunoia away from Irene. You and I will be working together very closely to make all the required preparations. We should begin at once. Eunoia gapes at you desperately, or accusingly, as Dexagoras drags her out of the room. Irene stares at the floor. I suppose I should return to my models. Go find Neus, Ebenezer barks at her. Talk to her. I can't. She could never forgive me. She can and she will, because she's nice. Now get going. Irene swims off, still crying a little. Ebenezer motions for you to approach. Do you know why I like you so much, Linus? I never stop wondering. It's because you're the only sensible person I've ever met. Give me that invitation, she hisses. She looks the paper over. Yes, I should be able to attend, she says at last. Dexagorus will be busy torturing Eunoia for a good long while. Then she looks down at herself. I suppose I should put some clothes on first. That's the last one, Freeman says. Better go update the boss. Yeah, she's got a fishtail. Right. She's going to need legs. Let's go south and east. No, south again. East, east. Oh. We step through the warehouse door. Back to Manchester, England, 14th June, 1851. Hallway. At the top of the stairs, in the middle of a rather narrow hallway, was posted a tall sign bearing the rules that would govern guests of the Scrooge Orphans and Widows Home, etc. Close west door. Unlock it. Down. North. Talk to Ebenezer Scrooge. Ebenezer's eyes lit up as he saw Linus approaching, and he must have foreseen that he had some good news coming, but it was Freeman who announced it. It took a while, but we delivered them all, the crow proclaimed, and old Ebenezer shot up as if a bolt of lightning had struck him. Well done, you two! Well done! Oh, I'm so glad I could be of assistance. How I wish I could meet them all. How old did you say they were? Linus had not said, in fact, and he wondered whether it would be wise, but he couldn't bring himself to deny the old man. About 5, 21, 30-something, about 50, and 70-something. 70-something! Scrooge began pacing across the room. Oh, it warms my heart to hear it. Now he was skipping. I'm so very pleased. I'm as gleeful as a kitten. I feel as though I'm buzzing all over. Linus thought faintly that the old man might jump up onto the table next to do a jig. But rationality got its claws into Ebenezer's shoulders at last, and it pushed him back down into his chair. He folded his hands. Then that business is finished at last, he said. What do we do next? Linus sat down across from him, and Freeman alit on the table between them. It was as if a very solemn meeting were about to commence between the three men. Yet all Linus had to say was this. I'm afraid there's nothing left for us to do at the moment. The next step is up to them. Part 2. And no one is better than you. Hello. My name is Hans Christian Andersen. Perhaps you are familiar with the Little Match Girl, a character that I made up out of my own head, and with her many adventures. If you aren't familiar, let me explain. She is a nameless little girl, only 5 years old. She is a tiny mouse trapped in that shape for her best friend's sake. She is Sister Lantern, recruited by Michael McKeever to save the universe from the Zeos Maleficus. She is the Queen Regent of Atlantis, bearing Poseidon's mighty trident, preparatory to her sister's coronation. And she is Madame Scrooge, an old woman in a wrinkled gray coat. No particular member of this procession is the real Little Match Girl. The eldest is no more authentic for her experience than the youngest is for her originality. All of them are very real in the context of my little story. And we may find each of their individual perspectives enlightening. To see things from one of their perspectives, use the command, be someone. You may be little girl, or be tiny mouse, and so on. Choose whichever one appeals to you at the moment. Well, let us first be the little girl. An excellent choice. Feel free to be someone else whenever the mood strikes you. John has taken this moment to arrive on my desk. He is a cat, and he is interceding between me and the monitor on which the game is playing, so it's a little bit of a distraction, since I am no longer able to see the text. Let's distract him away from the screen. Thank you, sir, for relocating yourself. An excellent choice. Feel free to be someone else whenever the mood strikes you. November 23rd, 1999 AD, the Austrian Alps. Snowy woods. Moonlight filters through the branches, modeling every face with shadows. Maybe we could go over it again, Madam Scrooge suggests, just to be polite. Certainly, the Queen Regent says. A young vampire slayer, 22 years old, has been abducted by vampires. They call her the Hunter. When they caught her, they destroyed her blessed revolver and cast a sleeping spell over her. They're holding her in a nearby castle, which belongs to Ate, the Queen of Vampires. She pauses to make sure everybody is following along. The vampires would have loved to kill the Hunter right away, but Poseidon communicated that he would punish them mercilessly if any harm came to his champion. The trident glitters in her fist. So Ate convened representatives from all the vampire clans to puzzle out what they could safely do with the Hunter's comatose body without incurring Poseidon's wrath, and they couldn't think of anything. That was about a week ago. By now, most of the vampires have given up and left. From what Linus has been able to see, the only ones still in the castle are Ate herself and a few of her favorite bodyguards, including Scepter. Sister Lantern stiffens. In other words, this is the best chance we're going to get. But the Queen Regent turns from face to face, frowning at you in particular. We don't know for sure how far Poseidon's protection extends, and neither do they. We all have to be careful. Stick together as much as we can. Madam Scrooge nods. Easy enough. A path leads north out of the trees. So, if I understand correctly, there are 5 little girls here of varying degrees of littleness and girlness. Let's examine me. It was very nice to have a warm bath for once, but now you're cold again. You oughtn't complain, though. These women have been awfully kind to you. We examined Little Mouse. Examine the mouse? What a friendly little mouse this is. You've never seen a mouse with fur this color. The color of your own flaxen curls. It might be fun if you could be as small as a mouse. Briefly. We examine the Queen Regent. She has the look of someone who's been called away from one inconvenience just to deal with another. Some people see their whole lives that way. Let's examine Sister Lantern. She looks so powerful in her gleaming red armor. She looks like a knight, a slayer of demons. Let's examine Madam Scrooge. She's a very friendly old lady, and the others clearly have a great respect for her, but they don't seem to notice how sad she is. Let's be Madam Scrooge. We are Madam Scrooge. Examine me. You don't need a pack of lithesome little girls to remind you how slow you are, how feebled and wrinkled and brittle you are, but you'll get the job done. We examine the little girl. The poor thing. It's cruelty to put her through all this. But even after all this time, you haven't come up with a better way. We examine the mouse. It's hard to read her expression. It's been so long since you've been in that shape, you can't really remember what it was like. But there were parts of it you enjoyed, weren't there? Must have been. Examine Sister Lantern. You can see the guilt in her eyes. You wish you could brush it all away, and she could see how much she's accomplished. Well, she'll understand eventually. We examine the Queen Regent. She's trying hard to keep her serious sneer going, but deep down, she's enjoying herself. You remember it distinctly. We'll be the Queen Regent and examine ourselves. There's no time for self-reflection. You have a job to do. But yes, you look fantastic. Let's examine the little girl. She's so young. Anything could happen to her. She could become anything. The possibilities are terrifying. Examine Madam Scrooge. You try to look her over surreptitiously. How many years will it take to turn into her? You need to start having more fun while you still can. Examine Sister Lantern. All those gadgets are a bit of a cheat, aren't they? Kind of like this trident. And let's examine the little mouse. It's easy to lose track of her, but there she is. It'd be nice to disappear like that, get some peace and quiet. until the Rabbit King tracked you down and asked you to do him a favor. Let's be the little mouse. The tiny mouse. Examine me. Since you've been fixed in this form, you have had numerous opportunities to learn, to forget, and to be reminded of how very small you are. You are tiny, you are weak, and you have no thumbs. And tonight, of all nights, you feel especially powerless. Examine the little girl. She's just a kid, so small and helpless, but look who's talking. Examine Madam Scrooge. Every time you look up at her, the knot in your chest loosens a bit. It's a great reassurance to see yourself still in one piece after so long. Examine the Queen Regent. Maybe it's just how her chin looks from down here, but she gives the impression of one who is permanently annoyed by everything all the time. You hope you never end up like that. You make a mental note. Let's examine Sister Lantern. She's so powerful, so tall. Why does she look so tired? Let's find out. Let's be Sister Lantern. Examine me. The battlesuit makes everyone else think you're stronger, faster, taller than you really are. It feels dishonest sometimes, most of the time. But tonight, you need all the help you can get. Examine the little girl. You can tell from her expression that she has no idea what's going on. You can't help but envy her naivete and her innocence. We examine Madam Scrooge. You can trust her, of course, but you can't quite relax around her. She could still turn out to be a liability. We examine the Queen Regent. You recognize the exasperation on her face. You feel that way all the time. But she doesn't have to keep it hidden. She's figured out how to not care. And you'll figure it out too, at some point in the next 15 years. And finally, let's examine the little mouse. Mouse. With her bulging eyes, her heart pounding in her tiny chest, she looks terrified. You remember the feeling that followed you for as long as you were stuck in that shape. It wasn't terror exactly, but it never let up. You don't miss it. And from here, we can go north. We have a battlesuit being worn and a khopesh. Let's examine the battlesuit. It's incredibly strong, ridiculously lightweight, and more comfortable than a suit of armor has any right to be. Just the same, you can't wait to get out of it and into your pajamas. The khopesh. Sister Book crafted this sword specifically for slaying vampires. The edge is electrum, lunar-solar amalgam, she explained, and the display in the hilt is a vampire-sensitive radar. The curve of the blade is tailored to your ergonomics, but your people call it a khopesh, yes? She also made it red to match your battlesuit. Let's be the little girl once more. I don't have anything as the little girl. Let's be the mouse. We definitely don't have anything here. The sinister curves of Sister Lantern's sword makes your stomach twinge. Somehow, Sister Lantern's armor makes her look like she's a foot taller than the rest of you. Let's be the Queen Regent. We've got the chiton being worn and Poseidon's mighty trident. It took forever to decide what to wear. You don't want to start second-guessing yourself. The trident? This is Poseidon's silver trident, a weapon of the gods, forged by Hephaestus in an age long past. And let's be the Madam Scrooge. You've got a wrinkled gray coat being worn and the Goroshinka. The coat keeps you very warm, which is the main thing, but it also has lots and lots of pockets. Examine the Goroshinka, a tiny emerald, only 1/4 of an inch across. It took a long, long time to track down. Examine the chiton. The Queen Regent looks very regal indeed in her long, pleated dress, but isn't she cold? We examine the trident. This is Poseidon's silver trident, weapon of the gods. Yeah, it's the same text. Okay. Be the little girl and examine the coat. You wonder what color Madame Scrooge's coat was when it was new. Okay. I think that's everybody's possessions as well. Let's go north. Gate. The wall is 20 feet tall, its stones dusted with snow. Through the portcullis to the northwest are the castle grounds. A gatehouse is situated on the wall above. As the group comes to a halt, a thought occurs to Sister Lantern. Maybe we should take this chance to discuss how we all feel about... She puts her hands over your ears. Oops. Let's undo. I would like to be the Queen Regent for this. Let's now go north. Okay. Gatehouse is situated on the wall above. As the group comes to a halt, a thought occurs to Sister Lantern. Maybe we should take this chance to discuss how we all feel about... She puts her hands over the little girl's ears. Killing vampires, she whispers. Everyone looks down first at the tiny mouse, who can only hold up her paws in response. Then it's your turn. I have no problem with it, you say. That's what I brought the trident for. Next, Madame Scrooge. I would really rather not, she admits. I know they're vampires, but... She clicks her tongue. The tiny mouse squeaks frantically and points at Madame Scrooge in agreement. Well, it might become necessary, Sister Lantern says. She takes her hands away from the little girl's head. Just so you know. Okay, the wall is 20 feet tall, its stones dusted with snow. Through the portcullis to the northwest are the grounds of Schloss Tuxenstein. We examine the wall. The fortifications are imposing. Examine the portcullis. The portcullis is lowered. You can't quite see the castle itself from here. It's around the corner up ahead. We become Sister Lantern. Let's open portcullis. You don't see any mechanism for manipulating a portcullis down here. It's probably up at the gatehouse. Well, let's go up then. You leap to the top of the wall into the gatehouse. Gatehouse. Wind whistles through the windows of this tiny room. There's nothing up here but an old winch. Examine the windows. The windows are large enough to jump through. And the winch. Clearly this crank is for opening and closing the portcullis below. Turn, and crank. You turn the crank easily. The battlesuit does most of the work. Soon you hear the portcullis clang into an open position, and the crank stops turning. We go back down. And here we all are. Let's go northwest now, to the corner. The castle is still out of sight. It's around the corner to the west. Your Kopesh pulses. You take a look at your radar. Vampires up ahead, you mutter. The Queen Regent carefully peers around the corner. 2 of them, she whispers, guarding the side door. I can't see any way around them. I remember this part, Madame Scrooge says. Let me try talking to them. Let's be Madame Scrooge. It's around the corner to the west. Let's go west. To the side. You give the others a reassuring smile before you step around the corner. Side entrance. The towers of Schloss Tuxenstein glow bone white in the moonlight. The doorway to the west is the most modest element of this imposing edifice. It must be a servant's entrance. A couple of vampiresses stand between you and the door. You think you can remember their names. You wandered into a great big whoopsie, Nana, purrs the one in the leather duster. Should have stayed at home and watched TV, says the one in the leather bikini. Could have got through the night with all your blood still inside your body. You snap your fingers. I remember now. One of you is Pale Jasmine, and the other is Faded Aurora. Which is which again? I'm Faded, the first one sputters. Who are you, lady? I'm Ebenezabeth Scrooge, from the future, you explain. If you lay a finger on me, Poseidon will have both your heads on pikes. Would you please take me to see Queen Ate? The girls gawp at you for a while. Then they collect their wits and usher you inside. The Queen Regent. Corner. The castle is still out of sight. It's around the corner to the west. The little girl, the tiny mouse, and Sister Lantern are here. Well, she got rid of the guards, you say, turning back to the others. I guess the coast is clear, but the plan is falling apart already. Let's see. Can we be Madam Scrooge? We sure can. Madam Scrooge, a small room in the basement, a bank of security monitors. They shoved you into a folding chair in the far corner. Ate sits before you, her pink dress overflowing her office chair, her pink eyes fixed on yours. So, you came here to rescue yourself. Of course. Did you bring anyone else? It didn't seem necessary. Ate licks her lips. I realize something, she says. We've known each other longer than I thought. You raise your eyebrows. Yes. We first met in Mertig when I was still... She gestures dismissively at the past. Human. A little girl. The witch trials were just getting good. I wore my hair like this. She pulls her hair over her shoulders. And I ran into another little girl, a Protestant with flaxen curls and a 20th century revolver. Do you remember? Did you know it was me? Not right away, you tell her. Queen Regent. Corner. The castle is still out of sight. It's around the corner to the west. Little girl, the tiny mouse, and Sister Lantern are here. Let's try one more time. Be Madam Scrooge. Nothing especially interesting is happening to Madam Scrooge at the moment. Okay? Well, she's in a conversation. The rest of us should go west, to the side entrance. The towers of Schloss Tuxenstein glow bone white in the moonlight. The doorway to the west is the most modest element of this imposing edifice. It must be a servant's entrance. The little girl, the tiny mouse, and Sister Lantern are here. Let's go west. Let's examine the towers first. You crane your neck to take in the walls and towers. You don't see any lights in any windows. In the doorway, the door is open, so we go west. To the kitchen. Congealed evidence for the preparation of some gigantic feast is spattered all over the floor and countertops. Heaps of unwashed dishes are pushed against the walls to make room for half-eaten puddings and other piles of dishes. You are very lucky that it's too cold for flies. The servants' entrance is east. A passage to the west leads deeper into the castle. The little girl, the tiny mouse, and Sister Lantern are here. Are they still close? You ask. Sister Lantern looks at her khopesh and bites her lip. Not in the next room, at least. I can't get a clear read any further out. The little girl says, I don't really want us to split up again, but maybe our mouse friend could go take a look, covertly. The tiny mouse nods as if to say, That's a great idea. I'll be right back. I become the tiny mouse. Let's go to the west. You give the others a little wave before you embark on your reconnaissance mission. Foyer. Schloss Tuxenstein's grand entryway is as spacious and as dark as a cavern. You feel smaller than ever. The carpet stretching from the ornate double doors to the north toward the great hall to the south is unconscionably dirty. Other passages lead east and west. Let's go south to the great hall. A few folding tables and conference chairs are scattered around the hall, not arranged in any particular way. A fair amount of litter has been swept into the corners. At the south end of the room is an empty stage, behind it a wide glass door. Other passages lead north, east, and west. Pale Jasmine paces between the tables, nursing an eyebrow twitch. We go east from here to the lounge. Mahogany panels line the walls. A lush purple carpet covers the floor. Several overstuffed couches are ready to receive any weary travelers who happen to pass through. The great hall lies to the west. In the passage to the south is a stone staircase. Ashes and half-burned logs sit in the hearth. The fire is long dead. This is a room... I feel like this is the single room I have spent the most time in of any in the Little Match Girl series. We just keep coming back to this same place over and over again. Or maybe it's just the fact that I have played this game before and I'm remembering that we revisited a place we were in an earlier game. But I just... This is the nexus point of all my adventures. Always come back here to the lounge. Let's go south to the stair. Stone steps spiral up and down, but a heavy steel shutter blocks the way downward stairs. A passage leads out to the north. So back to the north to the lounge. And back to the west of the Great Hall, where Pale Jasmine is. And west again to the Grand Stair. A majestic staircase curls around the circular room, climbing to the railing of the rotunda above, drawing your gaze vertiginously to the great dome overhead. High archways open to the east and west. We go west from here. This is the display hall. The array of taxidermy exhibited here represents the passion of one for whom an avid collection has grown into a compulsive mania. Mounted on walls and in display cases, standing on shelves or on the floor, and hanging from the ceiling are stuffed and varnished swordfish, owls, frogs, scorpions, polecats, iguanas, herons, spiders, newts, raccoons, wallabies, eagles, moths, puffins, turtles, wolves, and a pygmy crocodile. The ways out of the hall are north, east, and south. You could find all these dead animal bodies upsetting, but your feelings have more productive things to do. Let's go south from here to the chapel. Pews are smashed and overturned. Crumpled papers litter the floor. The head of a gigantic hammer is lodged in the wooden altar. A huge hole has been punched through the stained glass in the south wall, and cold air whistles through the room. The taxidermy hall is north, and a narrow passage leads east. Faded Aurora sits on the altar, hunched over her iBook. I probably should have examined the other vampire when I had the chance. Here is Faded Aurora. Her combat boots dangle over the side of the altar. Her leather duster drapes down to the floor. Her black lips are slightly parted. Reflected in her glass is a game of spider solitaire. Let's examine Pale Jasmine. Her studded leather bikini reveals a multitude of tattoos over her arms, legs, and torso. The one that sticks out to you is the butterfly on her thigh, fluttering through a scroll that reads, "Cull the Herd." So we were in the chapel. We can go from here to the east. Let's examine the hammer. This hammer would be too heavy for any normal human to lift, much less swing it into an antique altar, but you know a few vampires who wouldn't have any trouble. Something was thrown out of this window with a great deal of force. We examine the glass. Let's take that passage to the east. Here is a closet. The walls of this chilly closet are bare brick. A rope hanging from a tiny winch descends into a narrow gap in the floor. The way out is west. This winch and its crank are involved with raising and lowering whatever is on the end of that rope up and down through that hole. Okay. Back to the north, to the display hall. And let's go north again to the billiard room. All the hallmarks of a small, cozy space have been spread out across this spacious chamber, so that the snooker table can be situated at a safe distance from the hi-fi system, the wet bar, and the liquor shelf. Exits lead east and south. The table is a class act, all wood and no chrome. Some chewing gum, or something equally gross, is stuck to the bottom. We examine the hi-fi system. The record player, the tall speakers, and their attendant buttons, dials, and sliders are more than you can really process at the moment. Examine the wet bar. The bar is rather modest compared to its surroundings and comprises little more than a countertop, a sink, and a cupboard. I tried to open the cupboard, but my paws aren't dexterous enough to do that. Examine the liquor shelf. Maybe 200 bottles are displayed here, including perhaps a dozen different brands of absinthe. Well, that's a billiard room, all right. Let's go east to the gallery. Tall windows line the north wall, framed with sumptuous curtains of improbable length. Hanging on the south wall are dozens of paintings of various sizes and vintages. The exits are east and west. Examining the paintings, you don't have time to take in all the paintings here. Your gaze is drawn to a miniature still life, an oozing wedge of brie, a fly lounging inconspicuously on a hunk of bread. Examine the windows. The windows offer an expansive view of the desolate, wintry Alps. Examine the curtains. Somehow, the grand scale of the curtains is harder to believe than that of anything else in this building. If we go east, we are at the foyer. Schloss Tuxenstein's grand entryway is as spacious and as dark as a cavern. You feel smaller than ever. The carpet stretching from the ornate double doors to the north toward the great hall to the south is unconscionably dirty. Okay, so other passages lead east and west. We go north. We can't leave now. You have work to do. So west of the gallery, west of the billiard room, south of the display hall, east. Grand stair in the center of the building. Let's go up to the rotunda. Doors stand on the east and west ends of this grand circular walkway. An immense stairway curves downward, drawing your eye to the mosaic floor below. The dome above somehow seems both incredibly high and uncomfortably low. We examine the floor. The tiled floor of the grand stairway simply matches the circular shape of the hall at a glance. But now you see the shape, or the suggestion of the shape, of some horned creature. We examine the dome. An enormous night sky mural covers the dome's interior. At the apex is Diana, drawing the string of her lunar bow. At the periphery are the 12 creatures of the zodiac, all fleeing in terror from the mighty huntress, including the centaur, the twins, and the virgin. Let's go east to the statue hall. You can slip under the door. The broad corridor is full of shadows. You can see doors to the north, east, south, and west. In the center of the hallway stands a marble statue of a centauress. We examine the statue, and the little centauress has a quiver slung over her shoulder and a little bow in her hands, but you can tell that she's the one being hunted. Let's go south from here to the balcony. A cozy balcony overlooking the castle's courtyard, and far below that, a snowy valley. The edge of the castle's roof is overhead. A doorway leads north into the castle. Looking straight down at the courtyard and its fountain gives you a bit of vertigo. And I'll examine the roof. The roof is far out of your reach. Back to the north. Let's go north again. To the library. Huge arched windows span the north wall. The other walls are covered in bookshelves, most of them empty. Exits lead east, south, and west. In the center of the library, within a tall enclosure of reinforced glass, is an enormous rosebush. I examine the rosebush. You can make out brilliant pink blossoms on the other side of the glass. It also looks like the plant is moving. Okay, fair enough. Either the castle's book collection has dwindled over the years, or it was never that impressive to begin with. If we go east, that leads to a stair. Spiral stairs lead to the top of the tower. The way out is west. Going up here leads to the tower. In the little room at the top of the spiral staircase is a pile of junk. Wind whistles through a narrow hole in the south wall. Examine the junk. Ribbons, toothbrushes, pens and pencils, pill bottles, pairs of underwear, scraps of paper. Not all of it is junk, but none of it looks useful. Can we go south from here? We can. You slip through the hole easily. To the roof. A crumbling chimney rises at the eastern edge of the roof. The tower just south of you looks very solid, but you can see a narrow hole in the tower to the north where it meets the roof. The moon is ascending slowly in the eastern sky. The rest of the roof is west from here. I'll examine the chimney. It looks like the castle stewards rarely climb up to the roof to maintain the chimneys. This one is falling apart. It's spacious enough to let you climb down to the second floor. Interesting. So we can go down here. South tower. Let's go west. To the roof. The roof extends in all directions from here, except to the northeast and southeast, where there are towers. The castle's central dome is west from here. Here's the dome. Depending on what side of the dome you're on, you can see smaller towers at the northeast, southeast, southwest, and northwest corners of the castle. The roof extends to the north, east, south, and west. The pinnacle of the dome is a bit of a climb from here. Let's go up. Top of the dome. The view from up here is amazing. Walter Richter von Roch's ghost sits near the summit, staring at the moon. You're pretty sure Walter does not understand mouse speech. Huh. Okay. So, I like to imagine that the various Ebenezabeths are all just hanging out in the lounge or the entryway, waiting for the mouse, who has now climbed all the way to the very top of the castle. Well, let's continue back down to the west. Let's go down to the dome, and then if we go north, the northern edge of the castle's roof continues to the east. To the west is one of the castle's tower. The castle's central dome is south from here. South edge of the roof. One floor below you is a smaller section of roof. Can we go down? You can't just jump off the roof. You'd break a bunch of bones. Okay. Here's the western edge of the roof. The southwest tower is in terrible condition, and there's a huge hole in the wall across a fairly large gap from this part of the roof. The northwest tower is quite intact. So I suspect I cannot go south then. The tower is right over there, but you can't jump that far. Okay, so back to the east and to the north, and oh, wait, I need to go south, east, now north, now down, now west. Oh, this place is huge. Okay, library. Back to the south. Here's the statue hall again. And south to the balcony. Oh, back to the north. Let's go east to the bedchamber. A bare bed frame rests near a dark fireplace. A shaft of moonlight falls from the east window. A painting hangs on the opposite wall. Here's the painting, a pond rendered in brownish watercolors surrounded by leafless trees. Examine the fireplace. The fireplace is completely clean. Let's go south to the stair. You slip under the door. The stairs leading up and down from this landing, where a closed door stands in the north wall. We go up from here to the tower. A pair of manacles hangs from the wall on the north side of the room. On the south side, a tiny window overlooks the valley. The window is very narrow. You have a view of the church across the valley, and that's about it. A church we've been in. Though not during this game. Let's examine manacles. The chains aren't very substantial. They are very old. Let's go down and down. But a heavy steel shutter blocks the way downstairs. A passage leads out to the north, so we can't go any further north. The shutter is flush with the walls, floor, and ceiling. There isn't even a tiny gap for you to squeeze through. Back up. Back north. Back west. Back west again to the rotunda. And let's go west now, to the bedchamber. A canopied bed fit for a princess seems to take up most of the room. Beneath its rosy veil, a flaxen-haired girl lies sleeping in absolute peace, you assume, although you can't see her from down here. An unspeakably decrepit man is seated next to the bed, the ancient vampire Kadak. Something interesting is happening to Madame Scrooge. We become Madame Scrooge. But you see it, don't you? We've been a pair since the beginning, chasing each other across the centuries, bound up in the same ribbon of fate, the ultimate force of good and the ultimate force of evil. Deep breath. You're very good at being evil, Ate, but neither of us are the ultimate force of anything. Don't play dumb, you filthy skin bag. You and I are important. We make things happen. I'm important to myself, I suppose, and to my loved ones, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm only as important as everybody else. And so are you. Ate stares at you for a moment. Her long, sharp fingernails tap against the console. I get it now. You're from some future where I'm already dead. You stare back at her with your watery old lady eyes. It's a cheap trick. They make every look seem significant. She leans forward. What happens to me? You look down at your hands. I have a guess. The little mouse, bedchamber. Let's examine Kadak. Kadak might be the oldest vampire in the world at the moment, and he might be the most powerful magician among vampires at the moment. It's hard to keep track. He's about 500 years older than Ate. You're pretty sure about that. The bed is extravagantly spacious and piled with multiple mattresses. You can just barely see its occupant from down here. Go under bed. You don't want it to do anything Kadak might regard as suspicious. Are there exits? Can we go west? The ways out of here are east and south. Let's go south to the stair. A cold wind carries from the top of the staircase. The way out is north. We go up to the ruined tower. The wall has crumbled here and exposed this chamber to the sky. What remains of the tower appears to have been an unfinished storage space. In the middle of the frost-covered floor is an ancient reliquary. The staircase leads down into the tower. It's awfully cold up here. The sides of the container are ivory, carved with images of bats and wolves. It is open. You were here just a couple years ago, but it seems like forever. A couple of years ago, from Mouse Ebony's perspective, a couple of weeks ago from like real world chronology in terms of the in-game time. Let's go back down and north and east. Down west to the display hall. North is billiard room. Okay, so I'm not sure how to get to where I think the other towers are. Let's go back east and east to the foyer. Uh-oh. Red eyes glow in a dark corner. It's a pleasure to see you again, little girl. A white ferret slithers into the half-light. Rask. And back in the form I remember so well. How very elegant, he sneers, baring his fangs as he pads across the floor. His eyes pin you to the spot. A bit clever of you to come to your own rescue. Maybe cute is the word. He circles you slowly, coming closer and closer. But how stupid of you, very, very stupid little girl, to come alone. That brings you to your senses. I'm not alone, you explain. There are 3 more of me in the next room. Rask flinches. He sniffs the air, realizes you're right. Then I'll just have to... He growls in exasperation, and he dashes back into the darkness. We go back east. To the kitchen. The little girl, Sister Lantern, and the Queen Regent are here. How does it look out there? The Queen Regent asks. You stand on your hind paws and deliver your findings. I count 4 vampires, Faded Aurora, Pale Jasmine, Rask the Ferret, and Kadak. That's not counting Ate. I'm not sure where she is. Kadak is guarding the hunter in a bedroom at the west end of the 2nd floor. I think I can get us there without alerting anybody else, if we're careful. Sister Lantern and the Queen Regent nod in acknowledgement, even though all they heard was a bunch of squeaking. Only the little girl seems worried. Be Madam Scrooge. Tell me how I die, Scrooge, or I'll slit your belly open right here. If you do that, then you'll die by however Poseidon decides to dispose of you, I guess. I'll put you under the same spell I used on the hunter, and you'll be in a coma until you die of natural causes. You smile. I don't think that will work. Her pink eyes glitter contemptuously. You think you can outwit me because you're old. You've traded in all your fast moves and your 6-shooter tricks for spinster cleverness. But you don't know what old is. I've been snapping bony necks like yours for 400 years. I've ripped out more livers than you have liver spots. And my body still works. So stop pretending any of this works out in your favor. You've been dead for the past 20 minutes. You just don't know it yet. Tiny Mouse, kitchen. I'm going to be the little girl. I'm going to talk to Sister Lantern. Something I had not remembered to try is talking to the various little match girls. So this is something you should try on your own playthrough before we get the gang all separated. Now is not the time for casual conversation. Okay. Be Sister Lantern. She's the one who has the vampire radar. Examine Kopesh. Okay. Let's go west to the foyer. You move as quietly as you can, but you can still hear your footsteps echoing against the lofty walls. The carpet stretching from the ornate double doors to the north toward the great hall to the south is unconscionably dirty. Other passages lead east and west. Let's go west from here to the gallery. Let's go back to the east and let's go south. Before we do, you look at your Kopesh's radar and shake your head. I read a vampire over there, you whisper. Let's see if we can find another way around. So back to the west again, to the billiard room. Your Kopesh pulses twice. Oh dear. What now? The Queen Regent asks. You point at the exits. We're surrounded, you hiss. Hide the girl. The little girl glances around the room. The little girl. Sister Lantern's Kopesh pulses insistently. They're getting closer, she whispers, not very quietly. Let's, open the wet bar. Nope, undo. Let's examine the wet bar. Undo. Let's open cupboard. Enter cupboard. You get into the cupboard. As you curl up inside the narrow compartment, you hear a soft click, and the bottom of the cupboard falls away. You plummet into a black void. You land with a tremendous splash. Pit. The black water is up to your waist, and you can feel your feet sinking into the muck below. A rusty chain is hammered into the far wall. The water trickles in through stone archways to the southeast and south. Something interesting is happening to Sister Lantern and the Queen Regent. Sister Lantern. Faded Aurora stalks through the south exit, hammer slung over her shoulder, as pale Jasmine appears in the east doorway. 2 more. I knew I smelled something. She grins hungrily. Should we tell Ate? Neutralize them first, Faded Aurora mutters. The Queen Regent raises her trident. Don't come any closer, she warns. We're still under Poseidon's protection. Poseidon won't mind if we only knock you out a little, Pale Jasmine says, and she rushes toward the Queen, nunchaku spinning, as Faded Aurora heaves her hammer at your head. Let's attack Faded Aurora. I want it on the record that you're not giving us any choice, the Queen Regent says. What are you, our mom? Faded Aurora scoffs. This is going to hurt you more than it hurts me. Well, actually it will. You take a swing while she's focusing on the Queen, and your Kopesh tears a rent in her duster. She turns to face you, furious. Who's... Okay, yeah. Faded Aurora heaves her hammer at my head. We try again. You time your thrust until just after Faded Aurora swings at you, but she's too fast. She swings right back, and you have to get out of the way. The Queen Regent looks like she sees an opportunity. So let's be the Queen Regent. Attack Faded Aurora. Faded Aurora shakes her head at you. Just because you're old doesn't mean you get to be our mom, she says. You gotta figure out something else to do with that empty nest syndrome of yours. You move around her, faster than she can follow. You thrust your trident into her side, not hard enough to pierce her duster, but enough to put her off her balance. We try again. You stab at Faded Aurora, but she swings back faster than you thought possible. You back off. Sister Lantern looks like she sees an opportunity. Well, now will be Sister Lantern. Attack Faded Aurora. You twist your way around her hammer and plunge your Kopesh into Faded Aurora's stomach. Her mouth is about to open in shock, but she has no time to react. She erupts in flames and disappears. Idiot! Pale Jasmine hisses as she sets her nunchaku spinning at your neck. You step back out of the nunchaku's reach. Let's be the Queen Regent. Attack Pale Jasmine. I can see why Geezer Ebenezabeth would bring Cyber Warrior Ebenezabeth along, Pale Jasmine mutters, nodding toward Sister Lantern. But what's the point of putting middle-aged Ebenezabeth in a dress on the team? You thrust the trident. She catches one tine in her nunchaku, but you pull back, and she loses her footing, almost loses her grip. Now, let's be... I don't know if this will work, but let's try talking to her. You're kind of busy right now. Be Sister Lantern. Attack Pale Jasmine. Is it just because of the trident? Pale Jasmine asks the Queen Regent. Did they really need a holy trident and you insisted on being the one to wield it, so they had to put you on the team? You slice and graze her arm. She hisses as she grabs at the smoking wound. Now let's be Queen Regent and show her. Attack Pale Jasmine. You aim carefully, and Poseidon's trident finds its mark in Pale Jasmine's chest. Her scream is cut short as she bursts into flame and disintegrates. You give Sister Lantern a look. She nods. She must be downstairs somewhere, she says. Let's be Madam Scrooge. Nothing especially interesting is happening to Madam Scrooge at the moment. Let's be Little Girl. We're in the pit. The black water is up to your waist, and you can feel your feet sinking into the muck below. A rusty chain is hammered into the far wall. The water trickles in through stone archways to the southeast and south. Let's examine that chain. A heavy spike secures one end of the chain to the rock wall. The other end isn't shackling anything at the moment. Examine the water. Your own worried expression stares up from the dark water's surface. Well, if there's one thing we know about 5-year-old Ebenezabeth, it's that she's used to cleaning out the pipes in Copenhagen, so this should be practically home for her. So let's go ahead and explore while we're here. Go southeast to the long table. Water flows slowly through the passages to the southwest, west, and northwest. The entire chamber is flooded up to your ankles. The way out to the north is dry, at least. In the center of the room is a slanted stone table. At the end of a chain mounted in the ceiling, an object dangles over the slab. Curious? Let's examine that object. The thing at the end of the chain is shaped a bit like a nose, or a misshapen egg. Huh. Okay. Let's examine the table. The stone is smooth from years of use. A plaque is mounted on one side. Well, let's examine the plaque then. You can't read the plaque. That's right, because we're too young and too illiterate at this stage of our life. Let's, we came down the passage from the northwest. Let's go north, since it's dry. To the chamber. 3 dirty skeletons hang by their feet from the ceiling, jaws gaping. To the east is a massive door of black iron. An open passage leads south. A plaque is mounted on one wall. Let's examine those skeletons. You gather your courage and tilt your head up to inspect the skeletons more closely. Streaks of rust run down the bones from the bits of wire that hold them together. Their helpless posture and silent screams are carefully posed. Let's examine the door. The door is the only thing in this room that wasn't made out of human remains. It is a monolith of immovable black metal. It is closed. If we try opening it, the heavy iron door seems to be locked. I guess we're going back to the south then, to the long table again. Well, we came from the northwest, and we've gone to the north. So we've got options to the southwest and south. No, excuse me, the southwest and west. Let's go southwest to the temple. Low stone benches encircle a huge statue of tarnished brass, a corpulent humanoid with a leering goat's head. A plastic stand next to the idol displays an informative plaque. The trickle of black water flows in from the north and out to the northeast. A narrower passage leads east. Let's examine the statue. The creature's tongue dangles out of its bestial mouth, and its eyes seem to roll back in their sightless sockets. The metal is dull and blackened, except around the statue's midsection, where hundreds of curious hands have rubbed away the tarnish. In the middle of its considerable stomach is a hinged door. We try opening it. Look in statue. You find nothing of interest. Let's examine the benches. The slabs of stone only rise a few inches above the damp floor. Let's go east to Oubliette. The walls of this narrow shaft are slick with condensation. A wheel attached to a pulley mechanism is built into a crooked stone platform. A small wooden bucket sits on the platform. The way out is west. Examine the bucket. This modest bucket is incredibly old. The shriveled wood is stained with rust and who knows what else. And we examine the wheel. The wheel down here is connected by frayed ropes to something high overhead. A similar rope is tied to the bucket. Every part of the mechanism looks like it should have fallen to pieces years ago. Okay. This seems like a promising avenue of exploration. Let's take the opportunity to be... Well, let's finish looking around and then we'll come back and be somebody else. We'll go back to the temple. And let's go north from here to the spring. Dark water slowly bubbles from a gash in the rock wall. The fluid collects first in an ancient stone basin, then it flows over the sides and runs down channels to the north, east, and south. A plaque is mounted on the wall nearby. We examine the basin. Lichen is growing on the sides of the bowl that aren't permanently dripping with black water. Basin is one of those words that I apparently pronounce weirdly if my wife is to be believed. She says basin with a non-voiced S, whereas I tend to pronounce it voiced as though it were spelled with a Z, basin. That's just how it seems to me, but I guess that's unusual. It's an argument we've had. Let's continue to the north. Here's the pit where he started from. So we've now circumnavigated the basement. Let's go back to the southeast, to the long table, and southwest, and east. So here's the oubliette. Now let's be Sister Lantern. We're still in the billiard room where the Tiny Mouse and the Queen Regent are. Can we talk to the Queen Regent now? Not the time for casual conversation. Yeah. They'll say what they need to. Let's go south to the display hall. And south again to the chapel. Examine the iBook. The translucent plastic clamshell is covered in rude stickers. You paw through finder windows until you see what you need. There's a way into the basement at the bottom of the southeast tower, you say, pointing to the schematic. The old security office is down there, but all of Ate's little modifications are controlled from a unit at the top of the northwest tower. Can we disable any of it from down here? The Queen Regent asks. You shake your head. We'd need at least a Wi-Fi connection, or an Ethernet cable, I guess. But maybe I could find a way up there. The Queen rubs her forehead and nods. From here... we can go... So we need to get to the security office at the southeast corner of the castle, but to do that we need to go to the top northwest. So let's go back to the north and to the east to the grand stair. Let's go up to the rotunda. And let's go west to the bedchamber. Oh, crud, right. Bedchamber. Canopied bed fit for a princess seems to take up most of the room. Beneath its rosy veil, the hunter, bane of vampires, lies sleeping in absolute peace. An unspeakably decrepit man is seated next to the bed, the ancient vampire Kadak. He recognizes you immediately and raises a skeletal finger. Ebenezer Scrooge! By the lights of hell I rebuke you, Ebenezer Scrooge. By the 10 crowns I abjure you. His shadow seems to grow as the candlelight sputters. Not a step will you take toward me, not a weapon will you raise against me, Ebenezer Scrooge. Begone. You stumble, almost fall to your knees. And then you stagger backward out of the room. Rotunda. Doors stand on the east and west ends of this grand circular walkway. An immense stairway curves downward, drawing your eyes to the mosaic floor below. Can we go up from here? From here, there are doorways to the east and west, or you can go downstairs. Let's go east. First, opening the east door seems to be locked. Can we jump? You hop over the railing and land gently on the mosaic floor. What if we jump from here? This just puts us right back up here. Okay. Let's go down east to the Great Hall. Here's where the big meeting happened. Let's go south to the courtyard. There might be a garden here in warmer months. Tonight the place is undecorated, except for a cracked marble fountain. The castle only encloses this courtyard on 3 sides. To the south, framed by a wrought iron fence, is a view over a glittering alpine valley. The Great Hall is visible through the glass door to the north. Some distance above them, a balcony extends from the castle wall. The tiny mouse and the Queen Regent are here. Examine the fountain. The fountain is in terrible condition and might not even run when the temperature is above freezing. Examine the valley. This side of the castle stands at the edge of a rocky cliff. It descends steeply for a few hundred feet before becoming the gentle slope of a snowy valley. Far across the valley, a tiny church stands out in the moonlight. If we go up, you leap up to the balcony, swinging yourself over the railing. Balcony. A cozy balcony overlooking the castle's courtyard, and far below that, a snowy valley. The edge of the castle's roof is overhead. A doorway leads north into the castle. We go north into the statue hall. The broad corridor is full of shadows. You can see doors to the north, east, south, and west. In the center of this hallway stands a marble statue of a female centaur. The west door seems to be locked. North to the library. Huge arched windows span the north wall. The other walls are covered in bookshelves, most of them empty. Exits lead east, south, and west. In the center of the library, within a tall enclosure of reinforced glass, is an enormous rose bush. You can make out brilliant pink blossoms on the other side of the glass. It also looks like the plant is moving. And we go west from here to the master bedroom. The opulent 4-poster bed isn't square with the wall, and its sheets are in a horrible mess. At the foot of the bed, a finely crafted coffin lies open. The library is to the east, and a small passage leads west. Examine the coffin. The sinuous woodwork is painted with black lacquer. The interior is lined with pillows of pink silk. You recognize her perfume. This is Ate's coffin. If we examine the bed itself, the huge rosewood frame must weigh hundreds of pounds on its own, but indentations in the carpet show that the bed has been knocked out of its usual place by some tremendous force. Most of the bedclothes have been kicked off the mattress, and part of the canopy has been torn down from its posts. Let's go west again, to the stair. The bottom of a narrow spiral staircase, the master bedroom is east from here. And up, the tower. A bank of computers has been installed haphazardly in the top of this chilly tower. Tangled cables run past your feet and disappear between the floorboards. The spiral staircase leads back down to the master bedroom. We examine the computers. When you feel the heat radiating from the machines, you understand why they were set up in this chilly tower and not somewhere more convenient. You had to work with just this sort of technology not too long ago. Deactivating it should be fairly simple. We try deactivating the computers. A shape phases in between you and the computers. You've come quite far enough, it warbles, coalescing into the body of Scepter, the ultimate vampire warrior. He raises his sword. You raise yours. Don't do it, you tell him. Poseidon will tear you to shreds. He's welcome to try, Scepter chuckles, and he lunges toward you. Something interesting is happening to Madame Scrooge. Madame Scrooge. A klaxon buzzes. Ate slams her fist on the console, and the wall of monitors lights up. Friends of yours, she spits. On the CCTV feeds, the Queen Regent is looking around cautiously. Sister Lantern is locked in combat with Scepter. It takes a moment for Ate to realize what she's seeing. She punches a hole through the screen. This! She shrieks. This right here, all this cutesy showboating of yours just pisses me off to no end. Well, enjoy it while you can, hag. She pulls a remote out of her dress and hits a button. The clatter of steel echoes through the castle, shutters falling over doorways and windows. With one more snarl of rage, Ate transforms into a pink mist and flows under the door, out of sight. We look. We're in the office on the folding chair. A high-backed, padded chair sits in front of a huge security console with a hole punched in it. A cheap folding chair has been pushed into the back corner of the narrow room, wedged between the wall and a rusty filing cabinet. The door to the south is closed. Examine the cabinet. From the top to bottom, the drawers are labeled Zuschuss, Correspondence, Süßigkeiten, and Gemisch. Search drawers. Oh, open correspondence. You open the second drawer. Look in it. The second drawer is empty. Open first drawer. Look in it. The top drawer is empty. Open third drawer. You open the third drawer, revealing a key ring. Take it. Take key ring. Open fourth drawer. Look in it. The bottom drawer is empty. Look. Open south door. Open door. Unlock it. You find the key that matches the office door and unlock it without too much trouble. South. To the lobby. A circular information desk marks the center of the room, bearing the logo Focus in large white letters. Carpeted paths lead south, west, and northwest. The door to the north is labeled Office. On the east side of the desk, near a bit of crumbling brick wall, stands a tall lucite box. We'll examine that box. A transparent container, molded from very thick plastic. The lid is open, and the padlock is unlocked. The notice on the side of the box explains that Focus needs your support to continue making important historical sites like Schloss Tuxenstein open to the public. Let's examine the desk. The desk is not attended at the moment. Hanging from one side is a black letterboard. White letters are pressed into the black felt. Next to her in blank minutes. Let's go northwest to the staging area. Several steel benches are bolted to the floor here, facing a blank wall. The path of the carpeting leads past the benches toward a heavy iron door to the west. One open passages lead southeast and south. Examine the benches. The slightest angle in the arrangement of the benches makes it clear that whoever is sitting on them is supposed to be looking at that empty wall. Examine the iron door. The black iron is hundreds of years old. The designer of this door wanted to convey feelings of hopelessness and finality to whoever looked at it. You find the key that matches the heavy iron door and unlock it without too much trouble. We open it. Go west to the chamber. 3 dirty skeletons hang by their feet from the ceiling, jaws gaping. To the east is a massive door of black iron. An open passage leads south. A plaque is mounted on one wall. We'll examine the plaque. 2 of these skeletons are plaster models commissioned by Walter Richter von Rock for the purposes of frightening his guests. The third was donated by von Rock's friend and mentor, Georg Lenz. Can you guess which is the real one? So, Georg is on the wall, apparently. Examine skeletons. Yeah, okay. Let's go south to the long table. Water flows slowly through the passages of the southwest, west, and northwest. The entire chamber is flooded up to your ankles. The way out to the north is dry, at least. Examine the object. It's a bit like a nose or a misshapen egg. Examine the table. There's a plaque. Read plaque. The plaque explains, Walter Richter van Rauch was a man ahead of his time in many ways, and his concepts of art would challenge even the most radical theorists of the 20th century. All human behavior carries the germ of aesthetic impulse, he wrote. To do good or evil, to love or to harm, to build or to destroy, every action has its own artistic value, entirely apart from its practical or moral worth. The culture that ignores or subordinates this value resigns itself to being merely a practical or a moral culture. Some have made the case that certain activities that took place in Schloss Tuxenstein would be best interpreted as an 18th century anticipation of the performance art movement. Okay, if you say so. Let's go northwest to the pit and examine the chain. Yeah, all right. Let's go south to the spring and let's examine this plaque. The natural spring over which Schloss Tuxenstein stands was considered a sacred place by ancient peoples centuries before the castle was built, the plaque explains. The unusual texturation and coloration are completely natural, but care should be taken not to drink any of the water. So south from here is to the temple. Let's examine this plaque. The plaque explains, the Adramelech worship, supposedly practiced by Walter Richter van Rauch and his friends, was in fact a highly symbolic series of ceremonies that amounted to little more than a complicated drinking game. Absolutely no human sacrifice has ever taken place in or around Schloss Tuxenstein. Let's go to the east. Back to the oubliette. The walls of this narrow shaft are slick with condensation. A wheel attached to a pulley mechanism is built into a crooked stone platform. A small wooden bucket sits on the platform. The way out is west. The little girl is here. There you are, you cry. Poor thing. Come on, we're almost finished. And you hold out your hand, and the little girl grasps it tightly. Let's be Sister Lantern. We're back in the tower. A bank of computers has been installed haphazardly in the top of this chilly tower. Tangled cables run past your feet and disappear between the floorboards. The spiral staircase leads back down to the master bedroom. Scepter is phasing back and forth around the room, refusing to let you get close, smirking all the while. We'll examine him. Scepter's spiked armor covers every part of him except his face, so he can show off his perfectly coiffed goatee. His broadsword is longer than you are tall. We try talking to him. Scepter doesn't respond. Can we attack him? Scepter looks down his nose at you. We last locked horns in 1983, 16 years ago. I suppose you don't remember. I remember, you tell him. You swing your khopesh. He brings down his broadsword, pushing you away without an effort. Then he swings back at you, and you're forced against the stone wall. Let's be the Queen Regent. We are with the tiny mouse in the courtyard. Let's go north to the Great Hall and west to the Grand Stair. Let's go up the Rotunda. What happens if we go west? Yep, same scenario with Kadak. Okay. East door is locked. Be the tiny mouse. And if we go east, and east again to the bedchamber, south, up, pair of manacles. Let's go down. Let's go north, and west, and north, and west, and west. Up. Scepter is phasing back and forth around the room, refusing to let Sister Lantern get close, smirking all the while. Can we affect him somehow? Can we attack Scepter? You don't have much to contribute here. Fair enough. Can we... examine the computer? You can't really interface it with your little mouse paws. Let's be Sister Lantern. Attack Scepter. I demand that you return to battle me once more, Scepter bellows. I demanded that you return to battle me once more, and I waited 16 years. I ignored many other responsibilities, gave up many opportunities so that I would be ready for you. I guess that was considerate of you, you say. You thrust into him. He takes a single step back, out of your range. He disappears. You turn just in time to see him phase in behind you, aiming a punch at your head. You duck out of the way. We attack him again. You never did come back to face me. Even tonight, you're only here to rescue some other version of yourself. Inconsiderate shrew! We should have set a specific date for our rematch before you cut our first bout short. I seem to recall I was called away on a very urgent matter, you say. You land a blow, but it glances off his spiked armor. Keep it up, he tells you. I'm loving this. He hasn't broken a sweat. We attack him again. You couldn't spare 5 minutes to set up a schedule? No. It wouldn't even have taken that long. 1 minute. Meet me back here in a year? Sure. Less than a minute. 10 seconds. It never happens that fast in real life, you tell him, but he doesn't want to listen. You swing again. Scepter bats you away. Okay, we are continuing to try and attack him to little success. Let's be the mouse. Can we help? No, not like that. Attack Scepter. No. Let's be the Queen Regent. We've got... Oh, right. I know what to do. Let's go west. Nope, not here. Let's go down and west. And south. Examine the haze. It's gone. Let's go east to the closet. Let's go west. Let's take the iBook. Examine it. Go east. Here we are. Let's be Madam Scrooge. Put keys in bucket. You put the keyring into the bucket. Turn wheel. You turn the ancient wheel and the bucket rises, jerkily and noisily, into the darkness. Let's be the Queen Regent. Here's the bucket. Take keys from the bucket. And let's go west and north and east and up. And let's go unlock east door with keys. You find the key that matches the east door and unlock it without too much trouble. Let's go east. Let's go north. Let's go west. You step carefully between the vines, trying not to make a sound. A floorboard creaks beneath you. The tendrils leap into action, grabbing your arms and legs, etching red streaks in your wrists and ankles. The plant pulls you into the air. The more you struggle, the more the thorns dig into your skin. Oh, well. This is unfortunate. Let's be the mouse. Let's go down and east into the library. No, east into the library. Let's chew rosebush. You hop into a vine and clamber up toward the Queen Regent. A bolt of white slashes through the air, knocking you to the floor. The Rask has you pinned. That's right, and I'm going to eat you alive while your future self watches. Give her a good view of your head before I bite it off. Can we rage? You shriek, twist your body, erupt into a tornado of teeth and claws. Rask starts back, and you wriggle out of his grip. Your only chance is south. You race to the doorway, to the statue hall. The broad corridor is full of shadows. You can see doors to the north, east, south, and west. In the center of the hallway stands a marble statue of a centauress. Rask pounces in after you. Don't you run, you despicable worm. You know you deserve this. For what you've done, for that kind of treachery, there's nothing you don't deserve. I'm not exactly proud of it, you mutter. Let's go west. You skitter away. Rask gallops after you. You scramble for an exit. The closest way out is east. You scurry under the door, to the bedchamber. A bare bed frame rests near a dark fireplace. The east window is covered with a steel shutter. A painting hangs on the opposite wall. Doorways lead south and west. Rask smashes the door open and begins stalking toward you. What did you say? He barks. I said I'm not proud of myself for infiltrating your gang, or earning your trust, or selling you out, or any of what happened, you tell him, backing away slowly. I don't feel good about it. What, you're sorry? That's what you're telling me? I wouldn't go that far. Oh, you shouldn't have said that out loud. Let's go west. There's nowhere to go but down. Rask sees you running and leaps after you. The two of you tumble toward the fireplace. You fall down the chimney, claws still digging into each other. He rebounds against a brick. Then you do. The shock ripples through your tiny body. You land hard in the lounge's fireplace. Rask howls in pain, tries to roll on top of you. You fall again, through the bottom of the fireplace, through empty air, and land again on the floor of the lobby. Lobby. A circular information desk marks the center of the room, bearing the logo Focus in large white letters. Carpeted paths lead south, west, and northwest. The door to the north is labeled Office. On the east side of the desk, near a bit of crumbling brick wall, stands a tall, lucite box. Fortunately, Rask is underneath you. But then he rolls on top of you. But then you get out from under him. But you can't get out of his grip. We rage. You thrash yourself around, but you can't thrash your way out of Rask's grip. Be Madam Scrooge. Let's go west. And here is the path to the northeast, to the long table. And the way out north is dry. Here's the chamber. We go east to the staging area. Let's go southeast to the lobby. Rask and the little mouse are locked in combat on the floor here. Take Rask. You grab the ferret by the scruff of his neck. He doesn't know what's happening yet, but he's not happy about it. Put Rask in box. You drop Rask in the box. Then you flip the top shut and secure the padlock. The tiny mouse gives you a weak little wave, exhausted but incredibly grateful. You pick up the tiny mouse. Okay, we're making progress. Let's continue. From here, let's be the mouse. Talk to Rask. Talk to Rask. Oh, can't talk to him. He's in the box. Because we are one of Madame Scrooge's possessions, we see the wrinkled gray coat and the Goroshinka. Okay. Examine lucite box. A transparent container molded from very thick plastic. The lid is closed and the padlock is locked. In the lucite box is Rask. The ferret is clawing at the plastic walls of the donation box, snarling insanely, not doing any damage that you can see. Now we're back to being Madame Scrooge. Okay. Look, let's go south is the bottom of the stairs. Cells with rusty and iron bars line the narrow hallway. The air is clammy and dark puddles have formed in the corners. Mounted on the walls an interpretive placard. The hallway continues west. Another passage leads north. The spiral staircase is barred by a heavy steel shutter. Let's go north and let's go west to the diorama. A scale model of Schloss Tuxenstein sits atop a scale model of the surrounding mountains, all covered in a layer of dust. A foam placard is mounted on the table. Corridors lead east and north. Let's examine the placard. The placard says, Schloss Tuxenstein was originally constructed by the House of Tuxenstein in the early 13th century. By 1650, the fortification had been abandoned and was in great disrepair. In 1786, Walter Richter van Rauch moved into the castle and converted it into a Jagdschloss,
or hunting cabin, at which to entertain his fellow noblemen. The castle was acquired by Focus and converted into a museum beginning in the late 1960s. It also says all of this in German. If we examine the diorama, the model castle is only 3 feet tall. In the front are the gardens and grand main entrance. At the back are the courtyard and balcony overlooking the valley. You recognize the 4 towers in the corners and the large central dome. The brickwork and windows have all been rendered with great attention to detail. The topography of the mountain itself doesn't seem quite as accurate. Let's go east to the lobby. Oh, I know how to proceed now. Now we go northwest and west and south and southwest and east. And turn wheel. Put mouse in bucket. Turn wheel. B mouse. We go out to the west. Out. Exit bucket. Let's go west. North. East. Up. East. North. Here's the Queen Regent, still stuck. Oh, thank goodness, she groans. Let's chew rosebush. You climb up the vines and get to work. First, you chew the tendrils away from the Queen's ankles. Then you jump to another vine to her left wrist, and then the other. The rosebush doesn't seem to realize what you're doing until it's too late. The Queen Regent hits the floor with a soft grunt. Thanks, she says. Now let's get going. Be Queen Regent. A pink fog seems to hurry past you. To the west. Here's the master bedroom. And west again. And up. Scepter and Sister Lantern are fighting here. Let's attack Scepter. His eyes widen as you stab into his chest. The breastplate can't absorb the entire blow. He has to take a step back. Marvelous, he mutters. Almost an even fight. And he swings back, making up the lost ground. The Sister Lantern. Attack Scepter. You swing at his back while he's distracted. He staggers, then he turns to swing at you. Be Queen Regent. Attack Scepter. While he's focusing on Sister Lantern, you thrust low and trip him. For just a moment. He shakes it off and turns his attention to you. Be Sister Lantern. Attack Scepter. You swing at just the right moment to get Scepter's sword caught in the curve of your khopesh. You're locked together. His breath is cold on your face. Finally, he grunts. Now we're having fun. Very fun, yes. The Queen Regent comes in from the side. She puts her trident through Scepter's stomach, and the ultimate vampire warrior explodes. Thanks, you tell her. Let's go ahead and deactivate computers. You hack the system just enough to disable the lockdown protocol without activating anything else. Fingers crossed. The castle rattles and clangs again, briefly. Let's go down. Master bedroom is east from here. We go east. And east. And east. We go up. No. Can't get, only the mouse can get out here. Let's go down and west to the library. Let's go south to the statue hall. Head south to the balcony. Can we go up from here? Yeah, you can go up to the roof. Here's the edge of the roof. The edge of the roof continues to the west. Tower wall rises to the east. Castle Central Dome is northwest. Let's go northwest to the dome. Go up to the top of the dome. Talk to Ghost. He looks at you for a moment, then he looks back at the moon. I really am sorry for what I've done, he says blankly. He has nothing else to say. He wears the hunting garb and the facial hair of an 18th century nobleman. The years have worn the regret in his eyes down to nothingness. Let's go down. Southeast. Something pink flits by in the corner of your eye. Go down. Let's go north. And west. Down. East. East again to the lounge. Here's the tiny mouse of the Queen Regent. We go south of the stair. Down. Bottom of stairs. North. Let's be Madam Scrooge. We go west, north, north, east. Oh. Passage leads southeast and then north. And then east and southeast. And now we're reunited. All but one Ebenezer are together. The Queen Regent sees you and smiles, not exactly warmly. I'm glad you're okay, she tells you. Can we get back to the plan now? Of course, you say. Very sorry about the little interlude. We go east. No. We go... The office door is north. Other passages lead south, west, and northwest. We go south here. And we go up. And we go up again. We go north. Unlock door with keys. I forget who has the keys at this point. Be Queen Regent. Unlock door. Excuse me. Coughing. Okay. We go north. Okay, almost done. Here we are in the bedchamber. We will go west to the statue hall, west to the rotunda, and finally let us all together. Madam Scrooge rummages through her coat. Here we go, she says, pulling her hand out from her pocket. Hold out your hand, little girl. The little girl does as she is told, and Madam Scrooge places a tiny stone in her palm, a miniature emerald. They call this the Goroshinka, Madam Scrooge tells her. Take it into the next room, the room to the west, and place it under the hunter's mattress. That's all. The little girl bites her lip. Will you come with me? Madam Scrooge shakes her head. You have to do it on your own, but you can handle it, I'm sure. The little girl nods. Be little girl. You are carrying the Goroshinka. We examine the Goroshinka, a tiny emerald, only 1/4 of an inch across. West. An unspeakably decrepit man is seated next to the bed. He squints down at you. Let's read this from the beginning. Bedchamber. A canopied bed fit for a princess seems to take up most of the room. Beneath its rosy veil, a beautiful lady with hair of white gold lies sleeping in absolute peace. An unspeakably decrepit man is seated next to the bed. He squints down at you. Ebenezer Scrooge. By the lights of hell I rebuke you, Ebenezer Scrooge. By the 10 crowns I abjure you. He leans forward, wagging his finger at you. Not a step will you take toward me. Not a weapon will you raise against me, Ebenezer Scrooge. Begone. The two of you wait for something to happen. He frowns. Aren't you Ebenezer Scrooge? You shake your head. I don't know who that is. Oh, he says. He glances around the room. Oh, he says again. With a groan of desperation, he turns into a bat and flies away. We examine the hunter. The hunter's eyes are closed. Her hands are folded over her breast. She is breathing very slowly. Put Goroshinka under bed. You hold up the Goroshinka. Which mattress are you supposed to put it under? Sharp fingernails dig into the back of your neck. Ate, Queen of Vampires. You squeeze harder until her blood starts oozing under your fingers. If Kadok's true name spell doesn't apply to you, then I don't suppose Poseidon's vow does either. The little girl doesn't move a muscle. The scent of panic mingles with the scent of blood. Oh, I wish I had time to think of something really entertaining, you grumble. But I guess ripping your head right off is fun enough. Someone taps on your shoulder. You whirl around and grab her bony wrist. Madam Scrooge. Somehow Ate seems surprised, but she doesn't let go. You crane your head to address the little girl. The others don't want me to tell you this, you say. They think it'd be cruel, even if you won't necessarily remember. But I've thought it over, and I think you should know. When you're a little older, maybe I shouldn't say how much older, you'll learn how to go places by looking at fire, like that candle on the table there. Be little girl. You should look at the candle. Examine candle. The little flame welcomes you. It knows just where you need to go. 12410 Donald Duck. What? Surface. The asteroid is only a few miles across. The horizon is a short hike away. The sky is full of stars. One of them must be the sun. Oh, they name these after all sorts of things, you explain. Ate still doesn't know what she's looking at. We examine her. Beautiful, as always. Her hair and the train of her dress are floating gently, as if she were underwater. The distant stars glitter in her wide, bewildered eyes. I try talking to her. Where? Ate stumbles across the rocky surface. The asteroid belt, you explain. There are plenty of other asteroids out here. They're just hard to see. Where's the sun? You motion toward the starry sky. Whichever one is brightest, I suppose, assuming it's daytime right now. Where's Earth? She's catching on. You'd better get out of here. Let's examine the sun. The asteroid is only She's completely confused, but that won't last long. Oh. You give Ate a sad little smile. I chose the command wake. So long, you say, and before she can respond, you wake up. Schloss Tuxenstein, 1999. The Little Girl. Bedchamber. A canopied bed fit for a princess seems to take up most of the room. Beneath its rosy veil, a beautiful lady with hair of white gold lies sleeping in absolute peace. A candle burns on a tall bedside table. Exits lead east and south. Madame Scrooge reappears. All taken care of, she says. Go ahead. Put Goroshinka under mattress. So you take the little green gem, and you push it between two of the mattresses. The hunter sits up immediately, her eyes wide. She goggles at you for a moment. Then she looks up at Madame Scrooge. Where? She croaks, and then she coughs violently. She's been asleep for weeks. Madame Scrooge puts a hand on her knee. You're safe, she says. Take a second to catch your breath, and we'll get out of here. But the hunter shakes her head. Where's Linus? Part 3. The Hunter's Vow. The woods. Cave. Warm light from outside rouses you. Slowly you stand up. The walls of your cave are smooth, damp stone. The pelt that serves as your bed is dry, if not comfortable. You have an appointment outside. Your book lies near your bed. We'll examine the book. Thick moss and pale lichen cover most of the binding. A very, very long time ago, the book was read. Your office is one of mere symbols, of assigned significances, less real than certain of your siblings' duties. But real is always a relative quantity. The book is closed. You open it. You don't open your book until the rite begins. We'll take it, though. Let's examine me. You aren't much concerned with your appearance, but some folk are. Your hood and cloak keep your body hidden, except your hands, your snout, your hooves. We go out. Trees. Light with no particular source suffuses the woods. Daytime. A broad stretch of stone marks the entrance to your cave. Your appointment is through the trees to the south. We go south. Thicket. 5 beings are hiding here, where the trees grow close together. An aged woman, an armored warrior, a mouse on her shoulder, a weary-eyed queen, and a little girl sleeping in her arms. Your appointment is a short distance to the south. Your cave is further north. If I examine the aged woman, a woman in a wrinkled gray coat. Her look says she recognizes you, which is a bit embarrassing. Examine the armored warrior. A woman in red armor. She hasn't been sleeping well, but she smiles politely anyway. Examine the mouse. A tiny mouse. She waves her tiny paw at you. Examine the queen. You instinctively recognize a member of royalty and offer the requisite bow. She nods back, clearly annoyed. And the little girl. She is so small, so weak, but things will turn out all right for her. We go further south, to the ruins. 2 rows of crumbling marble columns run along this clearing. To one side of a toppled archway stands Sir Ebenezer Scrooge, Princess Irene of Atlantis, and Princess Eunoia, also of Atlantis. On the other side stands Morgan Le Fay, with the crow Freeman on her shoulder. In the center stand Ebenezer Scrooge and Prince Linus of Sardinia. We examine Ebenezer. Sir Ebenezer wears a long black coat, a tall black top hat, a bright red scarf. If he is uncomfortably warm, he doesn't show it. He is beaming with pride. We examine Princess Irene. Princess Irene's golden hair spills over her bare shoulders and her many-ruffled dress of seafoam green. Her dress is cunningly cut to show even the most casual observer that, at the moment, she has legs. Examine Princess Eunoia. Princess Eunoia's lavender dress is simpler than her sister's, but roughly as modest. Her black hair is tied in a tall bun, ringed with brilliant orchids. Examine Morgan Le Fay. Morgan's velvet dress is embroidered with flowers, thorns, sigils, serpents. A chain of silver is around her waist. Examine Freeman. Freeman is not dressed for the occasion, but this is understandable. He is eyeing you expectantly. We'll examine Prince Linus. Prince Linus wears a gray suit, tailored to accommodate his feathery right arm. On his left hand is a silver ring. And finally, we examine Ebenezer Scrooge. Ebenezer wears a white dress trimmed with gold thread. Someone of a poetic bent might imagine she was the source of all the light in the woods. On her left hand is a gold ring. Are you ready to begin? Yes. You take your place at the center of the assemblage. Friends, you say, opening your book. Our existence is confusing and cruel. No amount of safety is guaranteed to us. Every comfort is fleeting. You have to say it. It's in the book. If we seek meaning, it eludes us. If we find beauty, it withers in our grasp. And all of us, every one of us, in every moment of every day, in one sense or another, are alone. To find someone who will share in our struggling, in our seeking, in our loneliness, we must be very lucky indeed. But the more comfort we find in each other, and the more understanding and affection we give, the more vulnerable we make ourselves, and open to new and greater miseries. Therefore is the covenant we here witness, one to be entered solemnly, not hastily, by beings whose hearts have measured all these risks, and who have earned each other's deepest trust. So I ask you, Prince Linus, in the sight of man, of matter, and of mind, do you vow to serve and defend your partner, to provide her security and respite from the uncaring universe, and to pursue her happiness as you would your own? I'll certainly try, he says. And I ask you, Ebenezer Scrooge, before God, who is law and love, do you vow to serve and defend your partner, to offer him your patience and your understanding, and to minimize his suffering to the best of your ability? She smiles. Yes. Very good. You close your book. Then you are husband and wife. The witnesses applaud, and the lovers kiss, according to their human custom. There. That is a true story. Thank you for playing The Little Match Girl 5. Copyright H.C. Anderson, MDCCCLI, all rights reserved. Ebenezer Scrooge will return. Would you like to restart, restore a save game, quit, or undo the last command? We will quit. This has been J. Essen Plays The Little Match Girl 5, The Hunter's Vow. Thank you so much for joining me over these past 3 sessions, and we will come together again to play something else at some point in the future.